Hello, my name is Jasmine Lee, and I am not your mama's astrologer. Welcome to the week. We are in the in-between world of eclipses. So this week is one of those very profound weeks where, as we started a new story last week with an eclipse in Pisces, we are ending a story next week with a solar eclipse in Libra, because we last year were in eclipse season with Libra and Aries. It was all about self versus other, how we are partnering, why we are partnering, if it is serving us, if it isn't serving us. These stories are coming to a completion, whether it's your friendships, your partnerships, your kidships, your lovers, your haters. It's been up for review for a long time, and we're finally putting some things to bed. Maybe some stories we've been telling about how we're relating to ourselves and the world and how we partner and why. So big deals. And, now we're going into, we just had that Pisces eclipse, which was, are we listening? Taking that moment. Are you listening? Are you seeing, hearing, vibing what's going on around you? That's big stuff. But this week we have some support, particularly from Mercury, which is our thoughts and our communications, what we're thinking and how we're saying it. I really like that, because it almost feels like we're going to be able to create a little bit more context this week for the more subtle things or the big things that Pisces hit us with last week. It's about putting things in its place. It's about having our emotional shelves that we are putting our stories against, and how we're shelving them and where we're shelving them and what is the important things and what are the things we can let go of right now. So it's all really important. When we start a story and end a story, they are talking to each other. So when we are deciding we are going to be our more truest independent selves, things are going to go away. Things are going to leave us. Things are going to end. And, that overused adage of when one door closes, another one opens, you'll be feeling that this week. You'll be feeling, even if you can't put your finger on it, even if nothing as dramatic as a big event has happened, though I would surmise that probably for a lot of you it has, you can feel the energy. Fall is so that way. You can feel the leaves starting to turn. We went on our walk today with my third graders, and we saw the first leaves starting to turn. They're about to fall away. And we are this way too. We have seasons. We have falls and summers and winters and springs. And it's so lovely when we can align them with the current weather. So getting righteously aware of what is dying inside of us and falling away, what is needing to go quiet for a little while. So today is Monday, but tomorrow we get Mercury trining Uranus. So Uranus is our big game changers, sudden stuff, things just like that click and shift and move. And Mercury is our thoughts and our communications. So maybe you're going to get some news tomorrow, some big news, or you're going to think some big thoughts, or you're going to communicate some big ideas tomorrow, because we've been processing being in the midst of this eclipse season. And maybe some juicy nugs are going to come out for you to process, for you to work with. Things are going to start to, dialogue will ensue. Story plot twists will happen. And the more that we can conceptualize them in a neutral way, the better. We talk a lot about, at the astrology school I teach at, turning on the observer. It's a Deborah Silverman term, and I love it because it's about observing your thoughts instead of judging them, instead of being attached to them, instead of applying them as absolute truth. It's being like, interesting. To me, turning on the observer is being curious. Not just about, what's going to happen next or about what happened before, but curious presently, a presence of curiosity, that no matter what happens to you this week, there could be a notion of, I wonder why that happened. I wonder what this is teaching me. I wonder. Because our thoughts are very powerful things. They have the ability to change our entire perspective, and they trick us into thinking that they are us. But the great Mercury lesson is that our thoughts are not us. Our thoughts are our garbage cans. Our thoughts are where all of our stimuli from the day go to get composted into our core beliefs, rituals, values, changes. Our thoughts are always working with us, but I think oftentimes we let them take the lead more than they should, when really it's an opportunity to see a little clearer that our thoughts are a mechanism of all of the thoughts that we have always thought. Our thing that we can't get off our mind, the things we fixate on. Amazing how when we fixate on a thing, when we cannot get it out of our mind, we recreate it over and over and over again. And that's why after an event, it all becomes a lie, because how you tell the story is a lie, because it's just how you think about that story. We all tell things with inflection. We all tell things with our own version of truth, and that's Mercury. So it's an interesting week to think about how we're thinking, how we're speaking, and how we're processing our stories this week. Because no matter what, the basic understanding that we have a warped perspective is clutch. I hate to break it to you, but how you see the world is not the world. It's just your perspective. And I think a lot of us start to fight in this political climate. A lot of us start to judge. A lot of us start to hate because we are so attached to how we think and what we think and how that must be right, because it's what we're thinking. And I want to invite everybody this week to take a step back and allow Uranus to change us. Allow a big planet of righteous, quick, fast-moving change to move us into saying, gosh, maybe how I think isn't the gospel. Maybe it's just my opinion. So then Wednesday, Mercury is going to oppose Neptune. So it's this really interesting opportunity of how we're thinking versus how we're feeling and dreaming. What's real versus what's made up. And, I think it plays nicely into what I was just talking about. Our perceptions, our conceptions, the things that we create because of who we intrinsically are, not what's really going on. And I think that it is an interesting time to dispel, malaligned thought systems, long-standing belief systems. I mean, I thought for a long time that one side of the bobby pin was where it was supposed to go in my hair, and then saw some stupid meme that said it was always supposed to go the other way. Mind blown. I just learned that the word tag stands for touch and go. Didn't know that. I just thought you tag someone, and tagging is a coined term. It's not. It stands for touch and go. So it's like this, these are small platform examples of how what you think you know isn't always right, and we're only right until we're proven wrong. And allow yourself to be proven wrong a little bit this week. Allow yourself the notion that maybe you don't always know, that maybe your way isn't always the right way, that maybe your belief system isn't necessarily the only way to have faith in something. Just an entreatment, if you will, to try to see it from someone else's side. I always like taking the enemy complex, someone you super don't like, someone you super don't agree with, and what qualities can you think of in that person that you really like? What do you think they have access to that you don't in their own soul? What kind of knowledge do they have that you aren't privy to yet? Because all of us have something inside of us that's beautiful. I really do believe that. Okay, so Mercury. Here we are. We're talking a lot about the rational self versus the moon self, the soul self. And sometimes we get lost in the day-to-day reactions to forget how we're really feeling, to forget what we're really needing to do to transform and change ourselves into the best versions of ourselves. And then this week, Mercury moves from Virgo, where it's been very excited because Virgo and Mercury love each other. They're very organized. They're very fastidious. This week could feel very fast moving mentally that way, where we can be very fastidious in our thoughts. Then towards the end of the week, it moves into Libra, which is about justice and fairness and righteousness and balance and harmony and love and beauty and what we see in the world in terms of love and companionship and partnership. Our thoughts are going to be drawn to those places. So we're going to get out of that very organized way of seeing things and into a more luscious, way of experiencing Libra. And then this weekend, we move into Libra season. So we're going from all of this Virgo vibes, of all of this organization and things we needed to get done, to this Libran time of what do I need to feel right now? What do I need to expose inside of myself that is out of balance and not in harmony? And this is all going to be in our minds and in our thoughts and in our egoic self too. So then we're really going to start to feel this eclipse because the sun and Mercury are going to be right on the south node where we experience eclipses. And so we're going to be feeling it so intensely. What about our partnering have we learned? What about how we treat ourselves in relationships to others? Have we learned about ourselves? This is a closing of something. So who do you need to say goodbye to? Or what part of yourself do you need to say goodbye to? What partnerships are working? Which ones aren't? Which parts of yourself have you been denying that need to come to the surface? To then prepare for this very intuitive time of what is my deeper knowing trying to tell me. There's a lot being said. There's a lot when an eclipse comes that's asking us for closure and is also asking us to start anew. And then also this weekend, we get Mars trining Saturn. Lovely, 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 lovely. All this watery stuff. Mars in Cancer trining Saturn in Pisces. Again, another ask to find out, how do you really feel though? Like, what do you really think about that? All of that is so important this week. I want you to be open to your minds changing. I want you to be ready to let something go or someone go. And I want you to be open to the fact that this could be the next best chapter of your life. And if it is, are you ready? What would that look like? So oftentimes I think we shoot our own desires in the foot because we aren't ready for them. When I think of being the most successful version of me, professionally speaking, I think, what would I have to let go of, personally speaking, in order to achieve that? And sometimes what we want to achieve and what we'd have to let go of don't align. And so we don't get what we want all the time without realizing that it's really us that was standing in the way of it all along, because what we want doesn't align with what we are doing. And this is a beautiful time to see that. Like, if you want the truest of love, but are you in it right now? And if you aren't, how are you limiting yourself from your truest love by being in a love that isn't functional? If you want this bigger job or to be seen on a bigger platform, how are you hiding yourself right now that's keeping you from really being seen in this world? These are all things that we need to contemplate, because it's really the mind versus the intuitive matter that is in all of us, that gut instinct, that fight or flight, that chip on our shoulder. It's all up. And if we can't put it in its right place, then things are going to feel more, obstructed. There's going to be more calamity. We're going to have to really struggle through our change instead of embracing it, because we don't actually know what we want. And the truth is, most of the time, we don't. So it is a very good time this week, before we hit that closing windowed energy next week, to get very organized and very specific. And Mercury wants us to do that this week with what we want. And then to say it, write it, believe it, understand it, different, and see how you have to move, bend, and change in order to manifest it. Let me pull a card. Ooh, I pulled this one, was it last week or the week before? Joyful Muse, the inspiration. I love that card. I'm never going to be sad about pulling this card. I could pull it every week and be really happy, because this week is about what is inspiring you. What is the no in your body in contrast to what is the yes in your body? And starting to lean into understanding what those things look like inside of you more. The truth is, we only have ourselves to count on. The truth is, when we feel let down, we only have ourselves to blame. And the truth is, we are the orchestrators of our own life happenings. Even when trauma happens, even when the worst case scenario happens, even when we lose people, even when it seems like we were the victim in it all. It's all just us processing, understanding, shifting, hurting, breaking, being vulnerable, fixing it, not fixing it, understanding, not understanding. We're contrast. We're walking mirrors of ourselves. And what we're seeing every day is in direct relation to what we're choosing to look at. So think about that. Remember that. I hope you have an empowered week. I hope you start to see signs and clues of what's to come, because it is your soul's evolution after all, not mine. And I hope at the end of it all is a great, big, delicious freaking cookie for you, for me, for him, for that guy, for that lady. I want it for us all. But we have to put in the work. We have to understand the lessons. We have to get what our part in it is. And we have to shelve it in our minds properly. May the shelving be tidy, y'all. Thank you so much. Please like, subscribe, share me, hire me. This is my dream. How am I standing in my own way? I'll check back with you next week.